Hello, I'm Dr. Matt McDornan. I'm a consultant psychiatrist in private practice.
And I'm Dr. Greg Pearson, also a psychiatrist in private practice.
Today we're going to examine the last three of David Byrne's thinking errors, and they are the idea of should statements, labelling and personalisation. And it might be useful to again refer to someone we've seen recently and how these kind of thinking errors are applied to someone who's depressed in a certain situation.
Yes, they tend to coexist, don't they, Matt? There's a sense of personal attribution around these three errors.
Absolutely.
And we were talking just before about a clinical scenario in which a patient of yours felt they'd let someone down and what evolved as a result of that.
That's right. So personalisation is involved in this, in the other two anyway, I think. You can't quite separate them out. But
so a should statement is, I should do this.
I should have done this.
I should have done this, yes.
Yes. Followed on by, often if you're depressed, I couldn't commission this. And often then followed on by labelling of self in a negative way. And behind all of that is the idea that you're personally responsible for a negative outcome.
Yeah, that's right. And by labelling we mean giving a label, usually to someone that is derogatory or negative.
Or self.
Or self, yes. Most commonly self.
So this, what comes to mind just in the recent few days was a nice man, her father, who'd become depressed and his kids were at school, and through his depression he'd missed attending a working bee at the school some weeks before, and he ran into a parent in the street who said, from all accounts quite benignly, well, sorry to miss you at the working bee.
Yes.
Which is, to my ears, quite a polite statement, really. It was, we'd like your company and we were sorry you weren't there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how was this interpreted?
Right. So this gentleman didn't think of this in terms of, oh, that was nice of them to say they missed me. Instead, a whole series of thinking errors within the context of this man's depression were invoked, and that was, along the lines of, I should have been there. I've let these people down, in fact the broader school community down. That is, I've disappointed them. I'm not good, I'm not a good person, I haven't contributed. And then, this man went on to say, I'm lazy. I am a lazy person. I'm a disappointment.
So he made a should statement.
Yes.
He went on and made a labelling statement.
Yes.
I am lazy. Gave himself a negative label.
Yes.
And was there personalisation as well then? So
well,
we didn't explain that before, but that's the idea that somehow innocuous statements or events have a specific application to the person. Usually
again,
negatively.
I can kind of elaborate on this man's self-account, because he later went on to hear that they didn't quite finish the garden bed. Right. The job that was at hand at the school
didn't get completed.
And now he went on to personalise that, and he really cast himself in the centre of that outcome. I mean, it's a volunteer morning at the school. You can do it next time. But instead, this man thought, if I had have not been lazy, if I had have gotten out of bed and gone, it would have been completed.
This is my fault.
This is my fault. The job's left unfinished because I wasn't there. And that's personalisation.
Oh yeah, Matt, and it's sad, and such a poignant illustration of how an encouraging statement to someone, a little bit of a reaching out,
crescendos
into this terrible situation of shame and guilt, and it just promotes that sense of depression.
Yes.
And so what we're trying to do here is invite someone to revisit that event on page and begin to challenge their experience,
Yes.
which at any other time, if someone was in a normal mood, they would have been able to say, perhaps, oh, yes, it's a shame I couldn't come, it would have been lovely to see you.
Yes.
Maybe we can catch up later, but this just starts a process.
I think there's one other point that might be useful to make to the listeners here. This man has a lovely family, and his wife was a very reasonable, gentle figure. And she reassured him and said, that's not what happened at all. It's all fine. It's no problem. And I could see this man try and rework it and retract this sort of self-commentary and go, yeah, okay, it is fine, it's fine. Only to quickly, by the next session, have it going again. And so with these kind of self-examinations and challenges, don't be surprised if there's a waxing and waning, even when you get going. This is part of it.
Absolutely, Matt. And the capacity for this style of therapy to be effective is dependent partially on the severity of the illness. So what we do tend to see is at the more severe end of depressive illnesses, the capacity, I guess, of the patient to engage with this becomes more difficult. Sometimes we need to lift mood a little bit before this stuff will get traction.
That is very true.
And this is one of the things we have to assess along the way is the intensity and stickiness of someone's thinking.
And the counterpoint to that is, if you do try and undertake this, the more you do this thought diary, the better you'll get at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like any form of fitness. I can't get fit watching Netflix.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.